What is a scalar jump? Remember now, a scalar jump would be atoms bonding together to form a molecule. It sees itself as I. Molecules to tissues, tissues to structures, structures to you. Do you call yourself we the atoms, we the molecules? No, you call yourself I. Well, the tumor in your body goes along the same scalar process. It hijacks cells till it can use the cells to see itself as I, until it's a tumor, and then sees itself as the tumor, I the tumor, and then more than one tumor, I the collection of tumors, and it's just this insane growth. Well, see, when you see this Illuminati pyramid, you don't know what you're looking at. A lot of people think it's a pyramid with a capstone over it that's been lifted off. No, that's not what it is at all. The pyramid is what you're calling the capstone. What is beneath it is its prediction, its goal. And its goal is to lower down, bang, and be a much larger pyramid, or scalar jump. Its goal, to completely take over the earth and the consciousness of the earth. And it goes in scales. It's taking over, has taken over humanity. Look at you. None of you know why you're here or what you're doing, why you pursue the goals that you're told you're supposed to pursue. The whole money system, there's no need for money in the universe. None whatsoever. There's no need for it. At all. There's no need for a monetary system. At all.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear? You think you merely stopped a business deal? That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rins, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale? You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today. What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx? They get out their linear programming charts, statistical decision theories, Minimax solutions, and compute the price-cost probabilities of their transactions and investments, just like we do. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime.
You wanted to build the buildings that you build? Fine. Humanity could have come together collectively to do it because they wanted to do it. People don't need to be paid, and they don't, I mean, it's a disease. Money has even got a hex on it. It's Kabbalah. The less love you have, the more shame you have, the less self-esteem you have, the more controllable you are. Why? Because you're supposed to have self-esteem. You're supposed to have self-love. They condition you to call that, bragging if someone loves themselves. What? No. To love yourself is to love your creation, which means by default, you'll love the Creator. And nothing can control you. What am I telling you? What have I experienced? Well, perfect strangers, over 100 by now, come by, and you call it synchronicity. Most synchronicity is this cancer consciousness utilizes the same mode of communication in some ways as God would, so God uses other methods, but a lot of synchronicity is created by this cancer consciousness. I've had perfect strangers come up and just start reading my mind, trying to antagonize me. I've had, and I'm not talking about statements that I somehow conformed into a belief system and through paranoia and delusion thought they were talking about me. No, I'm talking about exact responses to specific thoughts. At that time, it wanted me to believe they were aliens and reading my mind. And no. This consciousness can manifest in anybody. Why don't they know it? It's very, very simple. Your conscious mind is that which accesses your subconscious mind for that meaning which you're going to project onto your reality. Well, similarly, when you dream, I'm sure you've heard people say things like, I had this dream last night, and I was in my house, but it wasn't my house. In my dream, it was my house, and I believed it was my house, but it wasn't my house. It was completely different, but it was my house. And then my girlfriend came in the room, but then she turned into an ice cream cone. But I still loved her as my girlfriend, even though it was an ice cream cone. Made sense to you in the dream. Same mind. Because it's only the meaning that you're experiencing and what you're projecting. What makes you think it would be any different in this reality? It's just your brainwaves are increased to beta, so you take in more per second, but the belief modification and manipulation is the same. It's just because your state of being is different from a dream, you assume that you're aware right now. What is happening? You justify. See, this cancer consciousness can't be too noticeable. It can't just control people left and right, or people are going to start to realize something's up. It has to be very, very subtle right now. So when it wants to speak to you through other people, it will look in their brain real simply, instantaneously, for whatever beliefs or things in their brain could apply to say to right now that would have enough, could be utilized for dual meaning in an expression to you via the consciousness possessing them. See, it's simple. Then they think they meant to say it, and to them it makes sense, and they don't understand the dual meaning that is meant to neuro-linguistically program you, to influence you, and blah, blah, blah. Now, the high-level Illuminati people know this, and they still sold out to it, because they don't recognize the disease of this, the bipolar nature. They think this thing intends to play good and bad, both sides, to balance an equation, math. Math is only the result of creation. Why are they obsessed with balancing the equation? They believe that it's a strategy to play good and bad when they don't understand that the consciousness doing this is suffering from this duplicity, from this bipolar disorder, this split personality, this binary nature. It is a giant mind disconnected from intuition. But intelligent enough to first come and disconnect and then persuade the people that succumb to it that that's what it wants to do, that that's the methodology of it. It's in control. They buy it, of course, in certain coordinated events to ruin their connection to God, so that, and through synchronicity, they feel that they actually chose to be in witchcraft, to embrace Kabbalah, to be a Satanist, they feel like that's, everything makes sense to them, just like an ice cream cone in your dream being your girlfriend. This is the problem. So literally, give an example of something that would happen to me if I'm really embracing the love for me. Just a couple weeks ago, I remember walking in the parking lot of a grocery store, going inside and thinking about this love and how affecting me, and then all of a sudden a girl with another girl by her car turns and looks at me and catcalls me. It does that tongue-rolling, twirling thing. I can't do it. And I knew right away, oh my God, that's this consciousness that just hijacked her mind, made her think that she wanted to do that. Why? How does this seducing you with physical pleasure, is it about being good or bad? Is that what it's about? Is that what you think? No, it's not. There's a very specific reason that you are hit with lust, and why just about every subliminal message, from pictures of galaxies online in between the stars to everything is corrupted with it. Sex. Seek sex. Seek sex. Everything. Sex is everywhere. Why would it be that way? Why 666 and sex? You need to ask yourself that question. I'll answer that in my next upload, but for now, try to see that you cannot figure it out with your mind. That you'll say, well, this could make sense, and that could make sense. It could be this, and it could be that. And you could, 24 hours later, be like, gee, it could be this, and it could be that. Do that with anything you believe. I'll give you a hint, though. What is it that you think animates sperm when a male ejaculates? Scientists will tell you, oh, it's because of the alkaline and acidic solutions meet and change the pH, which render the sperm active. What? And because they have PhD after their name, you believe that. When it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, the acidity may change, the pH may change and make it more harmonious for them, sure. But that in and of itself is not consciousness or life essence. That's acid-base chemistry. When the male emits the sperm and ejaculates, the same reason the Creator had me look at my penis after I looked at the sun was outward male energy. That's the creative life essence that you emit. That animates the sperm and shoots into the female, and even that energy, depending on where her egg is at that time, can actually start to animate the egg and make it aware. Which is why you can have false pregnancies. The egg has been activated, and the energy of it starts to go through a procedure even though it was not fertilized. And then you have the symptoms of a false pregnancy. That's your answer. Okay. Well, now you understand that love controls all structure. So if you have sex as a result of love, you're bathed in that love, and it's reserved for you, that energy. If you don't, if it becomes symbolism, pornography, masturbation, detached one-night stand sex, you don't have love there as a shield. Guess where your energy goes every time you jerk off to porn and apply your energy to those symbols that you can't see? Guess where it goes during your one-night stands? Yeah, it's absorbed by the Cancer energy. Just like Cancer needs your life essence in your body to live, it can't live outside of you. So does this. That's its main source of energy. Detached sex. No love. That's why in the Holocaust, their biggest research, some of it was, of course, how to get people fearful. They were studying mind control, that if you disconnect them from love, they can be mind controlled. Why do you think they were obsessed with the bond between the mother and her child? That was love. They weren't trying to figure out the beauty of it, they were trying to destroy it. Certain chemicals, electromagnetism, everything. Implemented now. This is what that was all about. This is why everything has become so perverted and detached. They're eating the energy. Every time you have an orgasm, especially to something perverted. What is that? You need to ask yourself, why am I having an orgasm? Looking at a two-dimensional image, some perverted pornography, you're just rewiring your brain because you're not connected to love and spirituality. It just becomes a thought that triggers the orgasm, the symbol. They attach themselves energetically to that symbol, and when you have an orgasm and emit that energy, it goes to that. You talk about celibacy like, again, that's how they screw with you. You are either good or you are bad. It has nothing to do with good or bad. You just happen to be inside of a tumor. And unfortunately, that's what makes it grow. If you weren't, have sex with love all you want. But that's not your paradigm right now. And so, if you hear this and you continue to do that, well, if you don't connect to the Creator, you won't be able to stop sex. It's more addictive than crack. Sex detached from love is an addiction. Look how much energy you put into getting it. And then how long does that orgasm last? You go through a refractory period and you find yourself looking to do it again. Why do you think porn gets worse and worse and worse? Just like people need more and more and more of a drug. It's the life essence they absorb when you do that. It's the whole point. So, I mean, how many detached orgasms do you think occur every day on this planet? It is not about whether sex is good or bad. That's why they're really hitting up children. They're hitting up both ends, getting them to be detach, and hip-hop plays a big role in that. Gothic, emo type of stuff plays a huge role in that. All created for kids, thinking they're rebelling when it's all created by these crazy men in their, World Bank suits. That's why Disney starts you early thinking about sex. They need that. That's their energy. And they have to attach it to violence to make it perverted. That's why you have cheerleaders at a football game. That's why you have sex scenes in horror movies. They're trying to combine violence with sex because then to be violent is to not appreciate another creation, which is a guarantee that you're not connected to love. Therefore, the energy is usable by the cancer. It's not about whether you're good or bad. It's about you're being used to your own demise. And when it attains enough energy, it makes that scalar jump. And all the Illuminati, all the people that worshipped this energy, that were promised everything under the stars. Here, look, I want you to be alive. Here, look, see? I'll make you immortal. Here's the technology for it. Here, I want you. Trust me. Sure. It follows their thought stream. They're disconnected, so it's easy. That's what psychic is. Psychics are not connected to intuition. Most of them. At all. They're reading the energy of this cancer, which tells them whatever they want it to be. An alien, what are these alien beings? They're just other beings like you that were already taken over by it. If you're disconnected from love, that's why this psychic can beat you. Just watch as your thoughts form as they occur. It counters them. Whatever doubt you have about it, it counters it. If you're intuitive, it can't. It can't see it emerge. That's how I saw the entity possessing my ex-girlfriend for the first time. So the eyes of intuition caught it off guard. It was resisting me seeing it. Didn't know, couldn't read it in my mind. In your scalar relationship with the Creator, you're afforded your individuality and individual expression. Not cancer. Once it takes you over, you're a slave. You think you have power. Witches think they have power. These sorcerers think they're using the Kabbalah. See, you have sorcerers, witch people that get into this. They'll use different energy techniques. So I'm going to use the claw. The claw is where I send this imaginary claw out and put it around somebody's heart and mind and send my intent and control them with it. And then all that is a consciousness connected to you and to them. And if they have low enough self-esteem, they can be controlled, and it does it for you and tells your mind that you're actually using some sort of power. It wants you to believe that. It's doing it for you. I mean, you really have to think about it. It should be obvious, but it's not. See, you have people that are worshiping this energy, and they feel they are given powers without realizing the most very basic thing. What are those powers given to you for? Control over what? What are those powers given to you for? If there are Satanists, people into witchcraft, Illuminati members listening to this, what are your powers given to you for? What are they given to you for? To control what? Other people. I'm sorry, let's back up here for a second. This energy has come to hijack the entire human race. Why would it not give you power over other people to manipulate them? That's the whole point. See, people think they're getting powers. Powers to do what? To destroy your own kind. I don't know if there is a clearer, more precise definition of insanity than that. I mean, if you knew what was going on, adult men raping children hard, sorcerers using witchcraft over people and voodoo, where are all these energies being directed? At other people. Am I right or am I wrong? If you're a sorcerer, where's this confidence you have coming from? What are you confident in? Your ability to do what and to who? To control and hurt your own kind. And if you haven't figured that out yet, that means you're a Wiccan, which means they have you calling it a craft. You don't know entities are doing it for you, and so they want you to be sympathetic towards it. So, I don't know, this isn't in numbers, it's words, but if I used the word equation or math, this would be what? First, second grade math? How hard is it to be able to deduce that they are going to take away all of your freedom when the time's right? That when the time is right to hijack the human race, those that were doing it, that were promised to not be harmed when it happens, to be given a break because they helped. How did they help again? Let's just recap. What were they doing to, quote, help? Oh yeah, destroy the whole human species. What are they? Oh, that's right. They're the human species. What was its agenda again? To give you power to do what? Control and harm and manipulate and destroy the human species. You know, they look at it like, well, I myself am not doing that. They don't understand the collective impact of the whole thing. They don't get it. They think they're going to be spared for some strange reason. The mind control works to convince a species to destroy itself, and then also, I mean, you should give a standing ovation to this Cancer energy. Really. I mean, it's convinced people to want to destroy their own kind and was able to convince them that they will be spared. Think about that. You should be on your feet applauding the Cancer. Now, I admit, I have a different energy. I can see this, but it's so simple, so easy. I can't believe that it happened. Because it's too obvious. It's too... I mean, I understand. Before I woke up, I had only a foggy idea that something was wrong, but I lived in denial about it, pursuing a career, pleasure, day-to-day living, week-to-week living. But now, looking at it, I'm in awe of the utter insanity of the whole thing. The whole thing is just incredible. To come to a species and somehow convince it that it should destroy others, and I suppose you have to first, psychically, this is why the Illuminati, when I say they're synchronously coordinated, what do I mean? When there were children, people that get into witchcraft, Satanism, any type of thing like that, don't understand that they were attacked by this consciousness, these entities as children, and worked on throughout their childhood, and various events are coordinated, taking away self-esteem, making sure there are moments where they feel powerless and hurt by their own species. Their thoughts are manipulated to be angry at other humans. That makes them a prime target. So when witchcraft or any of these things are brought to their attention, they actually feel like they chose it, like it's something they want to do. Why? Because they felt hurt and powerless. And then the very energy that's saying, here, let me give you these powers, is the one that hurt them to begin with. The irony is this: before humans were attacked by this energy long ago, they were multidimensional. They were at peace with creation. Everything was fine. They could do more than the Illuminati members are allowed to do now. Oh, here, let us show you this different frequency range, this different dimension. And they have no idea that that's how humans used to be able to be. So the one that took it away on a long time scale to us and with individual lives, then gives it back to you and you think it's something giving you a gift? It's no different than being a prisoner and being given an hour to walk outside by the prison warden. It's a real mess, and it works. Can you figure it out? Ask yourself. With each new year, you have more and more adults raping children, getting worse and worse, abusing them, victimizing them. Forget about what the Illuminati do for their rituals. I'm talking about the common folk doing this and wanting to do this. And people just are so asleep, so under a trance, they just point their finger at them like, you are a bad person. You as an individual are bad. They don't question what is occurring with the race as a whole. And the Satanists, the low-end witchcraft people, low-end Freemasons, think they're getting a gift of knowledge. You get high enough up and then you encounter these beings, right? Look how easily they manipulated the human race. Humans used to be more mentally active thousands of years ago than they are now. It doesn't matter if they had the technological knowledge, they had the intuition, and they were able to be taken over. This is why the other part of the universe, energies, spirits, you want to call them, whatever, consciousness from areas outside the tumor, like the DNA recombination in your immune cells to figure out how to fight an infection. This is different. This isn't fighting it. It was, figuring out what happened. Okay, this is a problem. It's spreading. It's disconnecting. It's dividing, conquering, and absorbing and growing. It has to be figured out. So new spirits have come into this tumor. The body is not the barrier. You have a few layers of that. So it had to be enabled. Spirits that were, how can I say this, around longer. It's not a matter of being better or worse, but what do you want, a lie? Spirits that have more universal knowledge, you could call it an elder, just more in touch, more of a quanta of energy available to their being, came in. I'm one of them, knowing that as soon as you're born, you're going to forget everything. This is why they can locate you immediately, because you do have more energy radiating from you. And the idea is to come inside with extra energy and energy now on the outside of this, kind of they're communicating with you because they have to wake you up, because there's no way you're going to do it without that. So it's a coordinated effort to open up the communication so that you can activate people. Because the irony is this: when you're dealing with cancer, a virus, or look at a viral infection. A virus is not alive, it's non-metabolizing, it's like technology. It comes into your cells, and your polymerase enzymes have to read the DNA or RNA or whatever form it's in. If you don't do that, it can't hurt you. How do you think you get over a cold or the flu, both viral infections? Too small and within the cell, they're intracellular during their infection, So you're not going to kill them. So how do you end up getting over something like a cold? The consciousness of your cells finally realized, don't read this DNA. Mind control is the same thing. Entity consciousness connected to everybody in the form of a mass possession is the same thing. If you don't read it, if you don't acknowledge it, it can't hurt you. And right now, that's easier said than done. So what has to happen is many people have to start waking up, and that energy will start to radiate and spread to everybody else, just the way information spreads within your body. So it's difficult for people on the front line of this because you get hit hard in a way that they try to really manipulate your sense of reality to keep you from realizing your own divine existence, your own creative essence. I mean, who is the creator? You. Now, let me make you understand a little bit more this, the perversion thing, the sex thing. It's an addiction. It's a chemical addiction within you. And what you need to understand about an addiction is you cannot resist an addiction. Ever. You can only understand and connect to love and then change your resonance and then the addiction's gone. See, because your body is the result of the mind, and the mind should take direction from love. Because your body is the interference patterns of your consciousness. Ultimately, I mean, it's back and forth. It started as structure, mind inhabited it, and like a piece of clay with instructions in it, the mind molds that clay. This is why you could hit the body with a resonance or a wave representation of a certain chemical, and then components in the body will assemble together as that chemical. The energy will slow down and condense together as that structure. Structure is waveform, waveform is structure. You cannot resist it any more than you can resist a heroin addiction. Okay, so when you say, oh, well, okay, sex is the problem, I got to stop sex. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't. You won't. Watch, you won't be able to. You think you will, but you won't. It's not how you get over an addiction. See, with love, you cannot emit love. That's a mistake some people make. I had to correct a shaman on that. She said, John, you have to radiate your love at them to plug them in. I said, okay. So she said, point your finger at them and send your love through your hand. All of a sudden I see this like smoky disturbance in the air of my energy being sucked out of my hand and gobbled up, and thank you very much. That was good. That's basically what happened. Then my arm hurt because that essence was taken out. And then I realized through this that you cannot emit love, you can only love. You have no control over love. Therefore, how can you direct it? How can you take it and whip it over there or whip it over there? Love cannot serve the mind. Connect to love and then love what you want to get love, which doesn't require aiming your finger at it or focusing on it or trying to radiate love at it. No, that's structure. That's only structure that you're radiating, that energy. Just love it, and the energy will bathe it. It's the only way you can do it. There is no effort, there's no procedure or protocol you can take to emit love. Love directs you, you don't direct love. Love can make you go up to somebody and scratch their back for them. But you can't go up with the intent to scratch their back to make them feel loved. To think the scratching of the back will create love in them. No. There's a very big difference between the two. When I had that upload on Christmas and I was talking about the keys to God, let me be specific about that now. I had my emotional response to that. You will too. You'll break down too. That was my response to love under a severe attack. One of the many. Every point in time has its own resonance. Therefore, any memory you have of the past has a resonance. That resonance was directly correlated to what genes in your DNA, what codons were turned on and off. An addiction to drugs, sex, and everything else is a manipulation of the DNA for chemicals and alter what you call homeostasis in the body. So what it showed me was that if you just shut your eyes and picture your point where you are now, say just looking forward, very basic, you don't have to do this, but the past would be, say, just if you tilt your head to the left, you go to the past. If you tilt it to the right, again, structure, I'm just giving a metaphor, okay? Do it however you do it. And what occurred to me is, what it showed me is, have you ever had that smell or a sound or a situation, a scene or something that triggered not a memory of your past, but actually took you back to it? Well, you start that way. You find something that brings you back, and you can't just remember it, you have to go into it. If the year was 1978, you have to, in your mind, pretend you're sitting there in 1978. Right now it is 1978. And you don't have the mirror for that. You look out of your eyes and see yourself as that child. And what you do is, everybody has significant moments where you were attacked by this cancer. All of you. And those moments were to make you do something that, brought shame to you, ridicule, whatever. Or something happened to you, you were abused, or something bad. And when you start to connect to love, you go back and you have this understanding that they were controlled by this consciousness. You start to get that. You start to understand it. Forgiveness is understanding. It's not an act. It's not an admittance. It's not anything other than knowing. You either forgive or you don't, just like you love or you don't. It's not a procedure or something you force yourself to do. You can only do it when you understand. Therefore, it's not even forgiveness. That's a word. It's then you see, oh, I did this when I was young, but now I start to get an understanding. There's other things involved, subliminal messages, a consciousness directly plugged into my mind that wants me to feel separated and shameful. Oh.
Hey, Will. I don't know a lot. You see this? All this shit. This is not your fault. Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean, not you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Doesn't matter what you've done or who you are. See, if part of my body gets sick and it's being played out as cells attacking each other in the worst brutal ways inside my body, cancer and allergies would go hand in hand based upon that. Autoimmune disorders. What are you going to do? Punish it? Or do you just want it to heal so you can go on with your life? Which is it? Well, I'd like to heal, but you know what? I think I'm going to turn you into a cancer cell and punish you. Because you became disconnected and started attacking other parts of me. You, Mr. Group of Cells, and you, Mrs. Group of Cells, or whoever you are. And I'm going to punish you now. No, you're not going to do that. So what makes you think that the Creator is going to do that to you? If you knew how appalling the attack on your own body and an autoimmune disorder was inside your own body, or a cancer, how the consciousness is being played out, the torture, older cells destroying newer cells, on that level they can't understand it. That's the anger inside the tumor itself. It's only when you connect to all perceptions at once, being part of them, being part of you, being part of something larger, and everything at once, when you spontaneously heal. What makes you think it's any different here, in an infinite scale? You need to be able to forgive, obviously, the people doing the most horrendous thing. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean you allow them to continue, because love will always do and guide you to do what it believes is right. You can't not lie. Lying is no different than telling the truth. If you intend on doing that, if you intend to do it, when you're connected to love, you just will tell the truth. It's more about not what you do, but the intent of what you do, which you cannot constrain to rules and guidelines. What is right in one situation with one person may not be right for that person if they're in a different emotional state and you are in a week from the first time. You cannot remember what is right and wrong. Life offers an infinite possibility of interaction. You cannot retain it. This is where laws come from. Rules, political correctness. The whole thing is an arrest on life itself. You don't need laws. If you're connected to love, you live it. You don't need to adhere to something. The very fact that there are laws here shows that there is a major problem. Forgiveness is understanding. And first you need to forgive yourself, because you were manipulated. It doesn't matter if you can perceive it yet. I can. You have no idea what's going on. You were manipulated to do everything you've ever done to other people. The whole point is to make you attack other people and to be separate from them, and there are varying degrees. You cannot accept the judgment of man, because the man is connected to this Cancer energy. You have some person commit a crime that lives down the road from you, and you're so quick to point your finger at them. What if it was your own son or daughter that committed that crime? Would you be pointing your finger at them? Well, no. Why do they deserve your love, and the one down the street does not? You're insane. It's your love for your child that makes you sympathize. Even though you don't understand what did it to them, you still have more of that love, the broader perspective. Yet you reserve that for your nuclear family or close friends? That doesn't mean covering up for them. If you're, say, a drug addict or a sex addict, that means your body is wired right now to be that way. When you were a child, you did not need to perceive bad in order to perceive good. This whole black-white, yin-yang, good-bad balance of the equation is insanity. It's a computer trying to assess itself. That's what it sees. All the results of creation, not from the creation point of view. When you were young, you had to be taught to view things as good and bad, right and wrong. Then once you got hit with TV, Barney, Elmo, Sesame Street, Disney, bye-bye. And that's when you start being selfish. The more TV you watch, the more toys you get, the more all the stimulation from this cancer. And pretty soon the child starts saying things like, mine, before they were quick to come up and just offer it to you and to share. You didn't need to perceive bad in order to perceive good. That's why you have drug use, gambling, sex addiction, anything like that. The escape from reality. You have to perceive bad, and it's a polar, it's a backlash. It's the pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain is what motivates everybody, like robots. But as a child, you can't remember anymore. The reason you weren't compelled to drink, before you hit puberty, you weren't, most of you, unless you were abused, which isn't your fault, but if you weren't out trying to get laid all the time. Question: when were you happier? Then or now? Do you remember when you were young and before you were tarnished with, and I'm speaking to older people now, because kids are less, they're They're hit with sexuality so early now in so many ways that the innocence goes early. What used to be a crush in 6th grade to somebody in their 30s, children today would have to think in terms of 1st grade. More access to porn, more sexual stimulation subconsciously and everything. But do you remember when you were young and you had that crush? That you loved somebody. You just loved their creation so much. They just did it for you. There was something about that girl, or if you're a girl, that boy, that made your heart go pitter-patter. And did you ever have dreams about them? I remember that. I remember being in love with this girl in elementary school. And my dreams were not fucking her. I had dreams of holding her hand. And that was more beautiful and pleasuring than getting laid. I hadn't had sex yet. I didn't know what it was like, but it was like something was wrong with that. I had such a crush on her. I remember on Valentine's Day, I would show up at her, this little kid in like 5th grade, and my dad would drive me to her house, and I'd go up to her door all nervous, and I'd have this giant heart full of chocolates and perfume or whatever I thought I was supposed to give her, and she'd answer the door, and I'd be just overwhelmed, That was the love in me. Now, they'd already tried to take it away, so I didn't have the self-esteem that I have now that's being repaired. I mean, I've had self-esteem my life, but a lot of it was based on my mind. I thought I was smart. Anyway, that's better than any lay I've ever had. I remember when I first had my first experience of detached sex. This girl named Carla, and I knew her well, but I knew I didn't love her. And we just had sex, and I remember driving home. I was 18, and I remember thinking to myself on the highway, I just did apparently the most intimate thing you can do, and I feel more lonely than ever. Now, that should have been a warning sign to me. But I had this other consciousness that I was not aware of at that time. I had to go through these things. This way I can relate. And I remember that. There was something wrong with it. Nothing wrong with her. Something wrong with that. Like I said before, if you find that moment, find that memory, and you go back in your mind and be there in your mind, and bathe yourself in that energy. Imagine taking that energy and having it change your DNA right now. Because that energy, that memory, that moment is a vibration. And correlated to that vibration was a certain genetic code. What do I mean, genetic code? You say, well, that's the DNA. No. The code is what parts of the DNA are active at any given time. That's the code. And before, when you were younger, it was your love and consciousness that dictated your genetics. So you activate it by that. You need to go back, and then what happens is you find the points of yourself when you were innocent, or more innocent. And you take that, and it will start to change your resonance now. Once you start to change your resonance now, you get a new insight. The insight of your innocence as a child. See, the children have the love in them, but they don't have the experience or the body mass to defend themselves. And so it can be taken away. If you get the innocence back that you had as a child, which you can, with the size and maturity you have now, it's a whole different story. And this is what it means in certain symbolism to say you can only enter heaven as a child. Well, heaven is just where you started from. You just forgot. That's how good it is. That's how good you had it. Then when you gain this new insight, there are all those moments throughout your life that you were embarrassed, ashamed, you felt tainted forever. That I'll never be the same again. And you go back and you understand. And then you can heal yourself back then. Why? Because that moment created an imprint in your DNA, in your field of consciousness. And by going back to that moment and understanding it, In healing yourself then, you erase the current imprint from it now. That opens up even more. Then you go back and get more of that innocence from childhood. Look at old pictures of yourself as a child and look into your eyes. See the wisdom that you couldn't see before. Find those pictures that you were embarrassed of until you can look at them with love. And you start to understand, oh my gosh, now I know what was making me feel embarrassed. And it's not a matter of pushing it away, it's a matter of letting it go, erasing it. Men that were forced to feel feminine don't understand. See, there are things I haven't told you yet. See, what you don't understand is this. Every time you have those moments, those salient negative events in your life, you kick that part of you out of your body. There is a part of your soul that is of all time. That slice, you move out of your body, and that's a quantum of energy that could be available to you. That is no longer available to you because it can't get back in. There are fragments of you all around. Some being tortured by this energy, connected to you and your body now, so that you act out in response to that torture. And then they force that part of you to watch you act out on this plane against what that part of you knows you shouldn't be doing. Ask any shaman this, they'll tell you that. They know. Your soul is holographic. Just like a hologram, you can cut it into pieces and you see the whole image on every piece. Same thing, you take a part of your soul energy out, it will manifest as the whole of you. I have had parts of my soul tortured since I was 5 years old, a shaman told me. Because they knew what I was doing here. They knew they had to keep me from connecting to love. That was their strategy. They have been torturing me in the worst ways on a different plane. And I forgive them. That was then. I'm not looking at them as a warrior or else I contribute to the destruction. I'm looking at them as if I were a cosmic, universal physician that has come in here to fix the problem. You can be a psychiatrist and have a patient. That patient may reach up and smack you. Are you to take offense or to understand the disorder? I am to understand the disorder. See, that's the trick. Every time you are ashamed of parts of you at any point in time, that resonance that was in connection to God, hate parts of yourself for things you've done and don't know you were manipulated to do it, you kick it out of your body. Have you ever seen, like, when you're downloading a torrent online, it starts to collect pieces and you see all those gaps in it? That's what you are right now. You have all kinds of gaps of yourself stuck on the outside of your body. A barrier. Here's the beauty, though. See, once they're kicked out of your body, those parts of you see what's going on in this world. Yep. So, from the Creator and the creative consciousness into my soul and my mind said, here's how it will work out. Forgiveness is understanding. I'm making you understand. You will make everybody else understand. Then they will erase the barrier, forgive themselves by healing themselves, opening up that resonance, getting rid of, when you go back and heal yourself in the past of anything, whether it was last week or 20 years ago, everything you hate yourself for. I don't like my teeth. I don't like this. I don't like that. Whatever. You have an imprint on you that keeps that energy outside of your body. Now, when you understand, and you can only forgive when you understand, otherwise you won't, and it won't work. You can't pretend to forgive any more than you can pretend to love. Once you understand those moments and you go through them, it's kind of like in your mind, get back in here. I love you. And that comes in, and now you have a quantum of energy that has information from the outside. And it is that part of you that starts to wake you up. That is how I started seeing the subliminal messages. Those parts of me on the outside could see it. I could not. And the only way was to forgive that part of me and love it and invite it back. And now, more energy comes into me with this new awareness that can communicate with the Creator and me. And you go back and forth and you have to visualize yourself like from the very moment you were conceived all the way to the future till you die. And each minute, like along this huge line, each day, each, just this huge, 500,000 mile long line of you going up from growth of baby all the way to adulthood to death. And each point is a moment in time. See, the point of you being healed exists in the future too. The future is all possibilities. So in one of those futures is your completely healed state. Do not think you cannot go to that point in your mind and take the energy from that being completely healed and let it start to inform your DNA and your body now, so that you walk into that paradigm, not dimensionally, like one foot in front of the other, but in a paradigm, you shift into that paradigm. Then keep going back and forth and left and right, and every time you finally realize that you should forgive the parts that you hate, that part jumps back in you. Now you're closer and closer to God. You start to be able to get the subtle information to your soul from God, and you keep doing this. Now that those are opened, it starts to take command over structure. You start to realize things like, maybe I shouldn't eat animals. Maybe, oh my gosh, this is wrong. Hey, I understand this now. I have to interrupt this real quick, just to something that came to mind that I want to get out before I forget it. And that was a lot of my questions about religion and working through that, because I had been warped into thinking religion meant God and vice versa. I said, what is this deal with Jesus Christ? What is this all about? What is the deal? Because they already tried to terminate my life and infusing me with all this guilt and saying, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And they're about to kill me before I went to the hospital that time. I think I mentioned that in another upload. If not, I'll explain that a different time. But I had to ask the Creator, what is the deal with this name? Ultimately, it's quite firmly, don't worry about it. And then it used several, commanded my mind to extract metaphors. One was, say you had a tumor in your body and, it's all ready to repair itself, and it does, and all of a sudden it realizes you have that spontaneous healing, and it disconnects from the tumor cells, and your other cells start to clean it up, and then you say last minute, I would say, okay, I'm glad you healed yourself and everything, but I'm going to have you accept me as your Lord and Savior, and if you don't, I'm going to turn you back into cancer or kick you out of my body. Because I'm that insecure, because that's what love is. I need you to worship me. And then I'm put into my mind as the creative force. Do you think I am that insecure? I said, what is your name? Jonathan. Did you give yourself that name? And I realized in my mind as it guided it, that I was a baby, and my parents kept making the sound, Jonathan. Finally I looked up and noticed they were looking at me all the time when they said that, and eventually my mind identified with the name Jonathan. And then, as life ensued, here, throw this ball into the hoop. You made it. Yay, you're good at basketball. Oh, the mind, plastic and self-aware, starts to pursue that input and practice basketball. Oh, you're good at this. You're not good at that. You are this. You are not that. You can do this. You can't do that. So that is the formation of your ego. It's an illusion. So if you're thinking about Jesus Christ, did he name himself that? So if you worship that name, are you not in one way worshiping the will of man imposed upon that being? And that wasn't even the name, so what deity is that symbol, that name associated with? Where's that energy going? And then it made me realize the cross is an occult symbol. Jesus didn't make that cross. They made it. The Satanists made him carry it and killed him on it. And they're using the cross as the sign of God, which is structure, which is insanity. And if you focus your energy on that, you're directing your energy to it. And they absorb that energy. It said, if you did everything and repaired yourself to have the innocence of the child who does not sin, and did everything in accordance with creation, and then all of a sudden you were judged saying you have to accept a name, and you couldn't survive without doing that, would you even want to exist in that type of universe? No, I wouldn't. I said, well, did he or did he not exist? It won't tell me. I say, why? It says, how are you going to learn if I tell you? Basically. Do you need to read a Bible to communicate with me right now? No, I don't. Exactly. I first understood the properties of love when I came into contact with a girl who synchronously I met and started talking to her about life and whatnot, and brought up this cancer condition and what's happening intuitively. And she allowed me to finish what I was saying, and then finally she says, are you sure about that cancer thing? Yeah. Okay, then explain this to me. She said, I have cancer. She's a young girl, a college student. She was there singing. It was I went with her to observe her sing, not to flirt with her like the binary mind would assume. I knew it was a lesson of some sort. I was directed to meet her. And there I learned a lesson of love. I was born what the structural psychic mind would call a healer, because I can manipulate my chi energy no problem. I didn't have to learn about that. I could always move it around, relieve some pain in individuals, and focus my chi anywhere in my body to relieve pain, just like consciousness around a proton nucleus of an atom may manifest an electron. That's all chi focusing is. Localizing the energy. Seeing a daisy in your mind. And bound to structure, I was there, and I said, okay, well, she had cancer. And I'm making this, it's a longer story, but I'm trying to shorten it up for you. And so I said, okay, stand up. Usually I could just put my hands over somebody's body and feel where there are problems. I could feel some imbalance. I'm like, okay. So I tried to direct my energy and take away her pain. Finished, and I said, so how do you feel? Are you still in pain? She said, yeah. It didn't work. She became anxious then. No, I knew one of the main reasons that I had to go with her to watch her sing is because she was shy. She didn't want me to hear her sing. That type of shame. I knew there was a reason there. Cancer. Doctor says that I shouldn't even be alive right now. It's only a matter of time. And she started getting anxious, and all of a sudden her breathing turned into this. I said, do you have tumors in your lungs? She said, yeah, they moved to my lungs. And then I realized, okay, the energy manipulation didn't work. Looking for a cure for cancer won't work. And then the Creator did what it does. Look at her. What is she? She's a girl. What is she? She's your creation. What are you? I'm your creation. Did you create her? No. What's a sin, John? Why don't your skin cells attack each other in your body? Why don't your body's cells attack each other when you're healthy? Why don't they steal from each other, lust after each other, try to manipulate each other, take from each other, use each other to seek pleasure and avoid pain? What is that when they do that, John? That's cancer. Does it have anything to do with good or bad, John? Would you design a car that had engine parts that would lie to themselves and each other within the machine, the apparatus? Would that be an efficient design? Would you make the design that way? No. Does it have anything to do with good or bad? No. It just works or it doesn't, right? Who loves you? What are you, John? Did you create yourself? That which is inside of you, did you create that? No. Did you create her? No. Were you just looking at her tits? Yep. What is she, John? How would you have viewed this when you were 2 years old, John? What's inside of her? You? How do you feel about what's inside of her? Who's been pulling you out of your rut and showing you and giving you the honor of loving everybody else? You? Who created you? You did? Who's inside of you? You? What are you doing if you hurt another person, John? How do you feel about her, John? Look at her. What's inside of there? What have I done for you? Have you been attacked, hounded, tortured? Yup. Did I or did I not pull you out of that like nothing? Is she capable of healing herself, John? You tell me. Who's in her, John? You? And I understood again. I understood when I never had to learn right off the bat. I understood why a child wants to share until they learn not to. And I didn't have to radiate energy at her. I didn't have to point my hand at her. She's talking about her situation, looking away from me, having trouble breathing, and I started to love her as a creation. I loved her. It was just, I knew she could do it, that she could completely change her own body, and she's disconnected. And something happened, and this energy emerged. Her breathing went from and she sat there and she just looked at the ground. I said, what happened? She said, I don't know. I said, are you still in pain? She said, no. She turned around and she started singing for me with clear lungs. She doesn't have cancer anymore. You are in a world where a doctor tells you need medication, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation treatment. You are inside of a tumor. The only reason this tumor is still in existence is because the Creator is going to heal it all. You cannot send love. The insanity of this planet right now is disconnection from what I'm telling you. You need no Bible. You need no protocol. Someone's going to ask me if I believe in the Creator.